VHS Files contains spoilers, adult content, and harsh language. Listener discretion is advised.
It's showtime. It's showtime.
Welcome to the VHS Files Podcast with Jenny Lou,
So what do you want to do tonight?
Jason,
What about pizza and movie night?
Eric,
I want to rent a movie.
and Josh.
I want to go to a good video store so I can get a good movie.
And this is the movie of the week.
Let's get this pizza movie night started.
Welcome back to the VHS Files Podcast.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
The podcast where we watch movies and make memories.
Or we make memories and watch movies.
Either or. How's everybody doing? It's been a week since we've talked to each other.
It's been a whole week. I thought it was yesterday.
No.
Has it been long
It's
enough?
a whole week. All right. Well,
Come
we're
on,
just going to
Eric.
get right into it tonight.
Yeah.
Then.
Man, nothing. God, Eric and Jenny are just like, what?
I don't know. I thought Josh would kick us in, and I'm just waiting. I don't know.
So what
yeah,
are
I
we
had
doing
a
today?
fine. Oh God.
No. You don't get to now. Your time is over. It has passed. We are done with you. You red-headed stepchild. Move on.
Right.
Yeah, I had a great week, Josh. Great week. Excited to talk about this movie.
Are we? Are we excited to talk about this movie? Jenny, are you excited to talk
I
about this
am
movie?
super excited to talk about this movie.
Jason, are you excited to talk about this movie?
Well, no, I'm good. I'm ready.
All right.
I might hurt some feelings by the end of this, but I'll be all right.
All right. Well, this is going to be an interesting one to get into. That's kind of where I'm coming from on this one as well. So this week on the movie of the week.
The movie of the week.
What is the secret of this enchanted book? What wonders are hidden within its pages? What magical spell does it cast on all who read it? What is the secret of the never-ending story?
But that's impossible!
You will enter a world where a young boy's imagination becomes a vivid reality. The world of Atreyu and Artax, the Rockbiter, and a good and kind gnome. A world that is vast and eternal, treacherous and dazzling, unforgettable and free. For anyone who's ever made a wish, believed in a fantasy, or had a dream, this is the never-ending story.
Never-ending story.
Gotta hit that high note. Here, let me put my finger in my ear and hit the Mariah Carey.
That is a jam, though. I mean,
It
that's
is
a great
jam.
song.
It is.
As far as songs written for movies, that's got to be one of the best.
Does that song like ever hit the Billboard charts? Do we know that?
I didn't look that up. No.
Because the whole Ghostbusters song did. I don't wonder if that one actually made the charts because it sticks in your head and it does not go away.
Well, it is no Ghostbusters. I will say that.
Oh, definitely not. It's no Ray Parker, but it definitely sticks in your head and it's hard to make go away.
It reached its peak position was 17th on the Billboard Hot 100. So yeah,
Wow.
All right.
it was something.
Hey.
I did not know that. It
That's
did
what
not seem to
Google
be that
says.
popular of a song in my neck of the woods. But
I was 2. I don't recall.
well, I mean, this is a movie that's going to be part of any 80s baby's childhood. So,
Definitely.
but I'm sure we have a lot to say about it, but I haven't watched it since, I mean, it's been quite some time since we've watched it
Yeah,
last.
it's been a few years for sure.
But anyway, Neverending Story, released July 20th, 1984, directed by Wolfgang Petersen, who was a German filmmaker and had done quite a few German movies and notably had done Das Boot before doing the Neverending Story, which is a war film that I've never seen, so I can't really say too much about it. After NeverEnding Story, though, he would go on to do movies like Enemy Mine with
Great movie.
Dennis Quaid, and was it Lou Gossett Jr. in that one?
Yeah, Louis Gossett Jr. Yep.
And I remember seeing that one as a kid. It's been a long time. I'd like to watch that one and actually talk about it on the show sometime. Also did In the Line of Fire with Clint Eastwood, Outbreak, Air Force One, and more modern. He did Troy with Brad Pitt and Eric Bana. So
that movie too.
It's I don't think I've seen it like one time. I don't think I've ever went back and rewatched it.
It's kind of a strange filmography for a director.
It is. And really hearing the name, I thought like, oh, surely that guy's directed some other stuff that I've been really keen on. But going through the list, I was like, well, the only thing that really I noticed was Enemy Mine. So I never really saw Air Force One. I'm sure I've seen it, but I don't remember anything about it. I remember seeing Outbreak when I was younger, but don't remember anything about it either.
Everybody's watching that movie right now.
Right.
Yeah, we're living in Outbreak. I bet you that movie on like Netflix that is out has been viewed way more than it had the 10 or 15 years prior.
That and Contagion, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
Contagion.
Which Contagion is a way better movie.
Way better.
So this NeverEnding Story on a budget of 25 to 27, somewhere in there, million, came in with a box office of, who wants to take a guess? Jason.
Nobody did their homework. Jesus, people. Made a whopping $100 million.
$100 million. Yes, it did. So I guess you could say it was a success. And to the kids of 1984 and probably the 5 years, 10 years, 12 years after that, it would continue to be something very big for children. So definitely a success. It was released amongst the likes of, well, this could help its success, actually. Released amongst the likes of Supergirl.
Oh, my God.
The Last Starfighter, Revenge of the Nerds, and Purple Rain.
Ooh, I don't know. The last 3 or 4 there, those are pretty good movies.
Well, Revenge of the Nerds. Is Revenge of the Nerds a good movie?
I love that movie. I don't care. It's fart jokes.
You know what, dude? I love that movie too, but it is highly problematic right now.
Oh, God. Oh, definitely.
I'm definitely not saying it won't be talked about on this show at some time, because it's one, like, again, we talk about movies that we shouldn't have been watching as kids. I watched Revenge of the Nerds all the time when I was a kid.
Yeah, you got Revenge of the Nerds, Porky's, all those type movies. I've seen them all when I was a kid.
But
thanks, Mom.
Yeah. But that's where we are as far as movies go in 1984. Eric, why don't you take us back in time and tell us what else was going on?
We're sending you back in time.
Whoa, this is heavy.
Well, Josh, in 1984, the PG-13 rating for movies is added to the rating classes by the Motion Picture Association of America. The first movie to carry the rating was, any guesses?
Temple of Doom?
No, Red Dawn.
Oh,
Michael Jordan released his Nike Air Jordan sneakers. Interesting note here. Do you guys know what they call Air Jordans in Norway?
No.
Air Fjordans.
Air Fjordans.
Yep.
I love it.
It's true. Pop singer Michael Jackson moonwalks for the first time in a performance for the MTV Awards.
Amazing.
Did anyone hear about the man who could moonwalk on water? His name was Jesus.
Did he just do that?
Wow. I don't know if you're ever going to top that one there, buddy.
And finally, the Federal Communications Commission eliminated a regulation that banned program-length advertisements. This led to the creation of infomercials. Here's an interesting commercial I found from 1984. Hit it, Josh.
I've tried fad diets, powders, pills. Still, my weight's been up and down like a yo-yo until the AIDS plan taught me how to take off weight and help keep it off.
AIDS may taste like a candy, but AIDS contains one of the most effective appetite suppressants you can buy, and there's no stimulant in AIDS that could make you nervous.
With AIDS, I ate less, so the weight came off. To help keep it off when I sometimes want things loaded with calories, AIDS helps put me in control.
Let the AIDS plan teach you how to take off weight and help keep it off. Try peanut butter AIDS.
Wow.
Try peanut butter AIDS.
You've never seen that before? I I had seen that before, actually.
If anybody could see this right now, you should see Jenny's face at the end of
Jenny
that.
cannot believe what she just saw and watched and listened to.
This was just about the time that the AIDS breakout sort of hit. So
I think they might have pulled that from the shelves.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I want to talk about problematic things nowadays.
Wow. That's a sensitive subject.
All right. Well, on that note, let's get into the never-ending story. Let's go ahead and run down the line, and we're going to start with the one who was most excited about this week, Jenny. She's going to kick it off. Give us the background.
I mean, I definitely saw this all the time as a kid. I think this is one of the movies that my mom really liked to watch with me. Like, she actually enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. And I hold this movie up there with, like, Goonies, The Princess Bride,
right.
Like, all of my top childhood movies. Like, this is up there for sure.
Yeah. And what was it about this movie? Like, can you like kind of get into like what it was that, I mean, obviously we'll get into it when we talk about the movie, but is there one thing in particular that was like this movie, like what brought you back to it all the time?
I really like fantasy. And I think that besides like Star Wars, which is sci-fi fantasy,
right?
This was probably my first like toe dip into the genre. And it was just so fantastical and larger than life and, you know, odd and filled with creatures that you never see. And, you know, it just, all of it together made this, like, I don't know, this world that you wanted to keep visiting.
Yeah.
It's kind of a love letter to fantasy, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely get into that in the movie, but just like the childlike wonder and using your imagination and, you know, especially for someone like you who reads a lot as well, like I'm sure you kind of are pulling from what they're going for in the sense in this movie as well. What about you guys? Did you guys have anything in particular?
Yeah, I mean, this was a big favorite of mine as well, Jenny. As a kid, I always wanted to rent this movie. Definitely rented it many times. Always loved it. I don't feel like it's aged well. Like I can still watch Princess Bride and enjoy it just as much as I did when I was a kid. I don't feel like this one has gone with me as an adult viewer as well.
Right.
But it definitely is a part of my childhood. And yeah, I mean, we'll get into it, but
see, I felt the exact opposite. Like, for me,
really, you don't like?
It's still, you know, wonder.
It's still the magic.
And, yeah,
it's got the magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's moments that I still cherish, for sure.
How about you, Jason?
I didn't see this in the theater, even though I'm the oldest person here, and I was like 7 when it came out. But it was definitely a rental. I do remember my mom liked this movie, so we watched it. We would do like Jenny said. Me and my mom would sit back and watch it with my brother, and I think my sister at that point. But I do have a question while we're talking about it. Did you ever read the books?
No.
Okay. I didn't know if you were the fan, you know, you've seen the movie as a kid, but then as an adult, did you go back and read
I
the
never
books and
have.
compare? Okay. But yeah, as far as the movie to me, I enjoyed it as a kid. I have not watched it in a while till we did it for doing it for this episode. But yeah, some feelings that we'll get into later about the movie. Like I said, I remember some definitely scarring childhood moments from this movie.
Yeah, for sure.
and stuff like that. But as an adult, it definitely hit me different. So, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing that I come back to with this movie is there's a lot of movies you like because of certain key scenes and like that sense of wonder and whatnot. But this movie has always been like, there are, well, one main scene that stuck with me, and it's not a happy scene. So it's always been one of those darker sort of child movies, in my opinion. And it's one of those that's always made me not really want to go back to it because of that. So I think that's really what kind of gets it for me. But I remember watching it all the time as a kid. And I mean, how can you not love Falcor and the puppet stuff going on in here? And I mean, I love Falcor. He'll always be special to me, but we watched this movie this time with some younger folks, our friend Rachel and Chris, and their children who had never seen it. And watching them watch it, one of them's 15 and one of them's 13.
Mm-hmm.
So they're teenagers now. So they don't have that childlike attachment to that kind of stuff. But like one of the first comments we got while going into the movie is the opening with clouds, and there are just clouds on the screen for like 5 minutes while the NeverEnding Story song is going on. And Raina was like, God, more clouds. Like that's what she was picking up on as we started watching this movie. And then it cuts to something, I don't remember what, but then it cuts to another shot of clouds later. And she's like, oh God, the clouds again.
What's with all the clouds?
Yeah. But I don't know if it's iconic is the word, but I mean, it's a really cool opening. It's something that draws you right in. Ultimately, this movie does just kind of like we eventually get to our happy place in this movie, but it starts off somber and it kind of remains somber throughout the entire movie. I don't know, like watching it this time, I just kind of felt that from the beginning. And going into where we go and the story unfolding, it just kind of continues to be this just sort of very like depressing sort of journey.
Yeah, I mean, the story's kind of a bummer, you know?
So it kind of baffles me that we've found such amazement in it as kids. Like, and I'm not trying to make that sound bad. Like that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's like, I'm really kind of perplexed by the fact that we found this movie so endearing when it's so dark.
I think it's because of the message at the end.
Yeah.
Because it does leave you with a positive feeling.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's one, things just get worse and worse, basically, from the beginning of the movie until the end. I mean, it's basically one failure after another.
Yeah.
There's a couple moments, of success, temporary success, but by and large, it's things are escalating throughout the thing, and it's getting worse. The problem's getting worse.
I mean, for instance, we start the movie with, we're introduced to Bastian and his dad having breakfast. Now, it takes me a few minutes to get into video clips when we start talking about movies, but I actually have a clip here that I want to play for everybody. And we were watching this, and this scene came on, and it's Bastian trying to open a jelly jar, and his dad's in the background getting breakfast ready. Did anybody while watching this watch the dad while this scene was going on?
Do you mean his egg and orange juice smoothie?
Yeah.
Raw egg and orange juice smoothie?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Now, when we say we watch this with kids, I don't know how I never noticed it as a kid myself, but this was the first thing all of us picked up on. Crack egg into the orange juice to blend with. Okay, so it was the 80s. I get it. I'm not going to say dad was on cocaine or anything like that, but what the fuck? I've never seen.
That was like a thing in the 80s, like drinking
raw
eggs.
Thing.
Yeah.
It makes me think of Rocky, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, it started with Rocky eating the raw eggs.
But it's one thing just downing a few raw eggs is like a quick protein bump.
Right.
People do that.
Blend it. Dirty a blender? You're going to dirty a blender for that?
He can't handle it straight. He's gotta.
Yeah, he's no Rocky. And he's not a very good father either.
Oh my God.
What we didn't notice is him pouring the vodka in the orange juice.
Right, they cut that
he
part
added
out.
the egg. That's what it is.
He is a terrible father.
Yeah, this kid just starts,
everything he says is awful.
Yeah.
He gets shit on
this
immediately.
This is the saddest scene in the film, in my opinion.
It's pretty
right
bad.
off the bat.
Like,
I mean, he's lost his mother, and his dad is not supporting him at all.
No. He's like,
he is brutal.
Get over it.
Brutal.
Take some responsibility.
He was Alfred giving
Stop
Bruce the speech,
daydreaming.
what do we do when we fall? We get up. Like, but with no, like, my note actually for this, when this scene played out, by the time he was done talking to Bastian was, bitch, my mom just died. Like, get off me.
Yeah.
I'm a little.
It's like, hey, I know your mom died. Suck it up, tighten your bootstraps, and you march on.
Yep.
That's almost how he's kind of telling him, you know. I mean, that guy went on to do a lot of TV and some movies. He was in the 18 movie and stuff like that. But that's almost how it feels, like a military dad talking to his son.
Don't have feelings.
Sorry. Time to move on. Let's get it over with.
Yep.
Get your head out of the clouds.
I'm gonna down this screwdriver egg thing I just made up here in the back, and then I'm going to work.
Just get a frying pan. Cook up an egg, man. Just cook up an egg. It takes 5 minutes, really. Just kick it on, cook an egg, eat it.
Yeah.
You don't need to mix it with your orange juice. Not saving any time. Cleaning that blender is going to be a pain in the ass.
So what we got out of this scene wasn't that Bastian was grieving over his mom or anything like that. It was, what the fuck did he just put in that orange juice? We sat there and talked about it while the whole scene was going on. So it's weird that that's happening in the background. And then, like, obviously I know what the storyline is and how it goes, but like, especially for someone watching it for the first time, to be caught up in that was kind of funny.
Yeah, I think it's so funny in the same scene. He's so, get it over with and take care of yourself. Did you even notice also part of the scene that he's making his son put butter on a piece of uncooked bread? It's not even toast. He didn't even toast it for him. He's trying to smear butter on regular bread, and it's like just.
You should be able to do that yourself by now, boy. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps and toast your own bread.
Drop and give me 20. Head out the door.
Drink your egg.
And I mean, when we find out, like, he doesn't need this at home because he's got a group of kids that are dicks chasing him around, calling him the weirdo.
I know. These
now listen,
kids are
these
terrible.
kids bully him. His dad bullies him too.
Right.
I mean, this kid is getting bullied from
He's
every
getting
direction.
it from all sides.
Yep. He's got there's no, well, except for like the school closet or whatever that place is that he finds.
The attic.
Yeah, the
attic. We'll call it the attic since it is. You guys want to call it the attic because it is? That's fine.
Yeah,
Yep.
and considering it said on the thing, attic.
No, we'll call it the Cave of Wonders.
So
Wrong
point
movie.
being, he has no support.
cave.
This poor kid.
No.
He's a sad individual.
Yep.
Which is why I have a theory that. Well.
All right,
I'll
Eric's
go ahead
got
and say
the
it.
theory this week.
I've
Let's
got
hear
a
it,
theory.
buddy.
This entire movie, you could take it as Bastian is having a mental break, like a psychotic break, and reality is basically
Warping.
crumbling around him.
Yeah.
In the end, when he's flying the Luck Dragon through the city, he's just drooling on the floor of the attic at the school.
No, it's actually him at the age of 17 in a straitjacket in a padded room, and he's trying to relive his happy moments of when he thought he was flying on Falcor.
Yeah.
Actually,
It's bad to
that's
say,
why
but
it's actually the ending of this movie is the ending of the new Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin Phoenix is actually Bastian's character.
No way.
Oh no, man!
Oh God.
What if he's like dead? And this is like his journey into the afterlife. Like,
I thought my idea was dark, and Jenny decided to take it a few steps darker.
That's an interesting take on it too, though.
like when he gets in the dumpster, he like breaks his neck, getting like,
Wow.
and then he's
Dang, Jenny went dark.
Dead in a
Holy
dumpster.
Shit.
But he's dead in a dumpster.
and nobody ever finds him because he gets taken out with the trash, which kind of ties back into the fact that nobody's fucking looking for this child.
No.
No, it's true. No one cares. He's gone all day. No one
Even
cares.
when he's at school, no one's looking for him. Like,
Not calling his dad, hey, Bastian's not in class today.
I guess arguably they could be. We're just not privy to it.
right.
You would think at some point in the movie there would be like, he saw the flashlights coming into the school, so he like hid from them or something because the cops are coming to look to see if any kid got locked in the school.
Right.
You know.
Jenny, the nothing could just be death
Yeah.
looming
Yeah.
as he slowly dies in the dumpster.
Wow. This movie's taking a whole different. Now I want to watch this movie again.
I love it.
So I'm actually going to have a hard time separating that theory from this as we talk about it more now. But so he dodges the kids into the bookstore and meets another guy who's not very nice to him. But I like that you can tell that he's baiting Bastian.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mr. Coriander.
yeah. Which, I mean, he's creepy. I remember watching this as a kid, and that dude freaked me out. Like, he's kind of a creepy, mean old guy.
Crotchety old man.
Yeah.
And at this point, you're really worrying for Bastian because everywhere he goes, people treat him like shit.
Yeah.
So. You know, the bookstore owner, what's his
Mr.
name?
Coriander.
Carl Conrad Coriander, by the way. Also, Bastian has like a 3B name as well. It's like Bastian, B word. But yeah, Carl Conrad Coriander, the bookstore owner. I'm just looking at IMDb. I don't actually know this stuff, guys. But he has an interesting line about, you know, some books are safe books.
Right.
And some books, you know, can change you or whatever. That's an interesting line because, that's actually kind of true. You know what I mean? Like, you could read certain books that really challenge your reality.
Yeah.
Don't open the Necronomicon. I mean, that's not a safe book.
Whatever, like bad books, religious books, philosophy books, political books, things like that can really send somebody in a certain direction, really change their directions. That's kind of an interesting deep line dropped in the middle of a kid's movie.
Yeah. And it got me thinking about like how this movie kind of sets up sort of like taboos for when you're a child too, of like, you're not supposed to read that book, or you're not supposed to watch that movie or listen to those songs or whatever. Like, and this whole scene is a really good allegory for like, the whole bait and switch with that sort of thing. Like, oh no, you shouldn't be reading this, but what are you going to gain from accepting this or reading this or listening or whatever it is? Like, yeah, I mean, it may have a bad thing around it, but ultimately you're going to gain more knowledge from being able to have access to it than being denied it, So I found it pretty interesting that it kind of plays with that whole theme of taboo and that sort of stuff kind of early on in the movie here.
Also, the old guy's commentary on youth kind of forgetting about books and reading and playing video games instead is even more relevant today than it was when this movie was made.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 84. I mean, this guy would hate to see children of nowadays.
For sure.
But he wouldn't have to because his bookstore would have gone under long ago.
Unfortunately, yes.
Oh.
There wasn't much organization to that bookstore either. Like, if I were in there, I don't know if I'd be happy looking for a book in there. Kind of reminded me of the girls going into the bookstore in The Craft a little bit.
Yeah.
But again, how many scenes
like
do
every
you have
movie
with,
bookstore.
Yeah, like with
typical.
Every movie bookstore
bookstores.
is completely like unorganized for some reason.
Yeah.
But they always find the book they're looking for.
But I like that Bastian mentions he's got 186 books at home, and they're all literary
Classics.
stuff. And he tries to slam him for having comic books and all that, which
it's pretty shitty.
What's wrong with comic books? Come on, like,
There's some.
Come on, Carl.
There's some very good storytelling in comics,
and you get pictures along with them.
Yeah, beautiful art, especially in the 80s. You start getting some really good comic stories.
Yeah.
I took a lot of offense to that line. I'm like, dude, here I am with like thousands of comics in my house. And I'm like, man, what are you talking about? These are great stories. I've
got 180 comic books.
Yeah, they're like, they have meanings and things about the world told in a different way and life lessons.
But Jason
happens to have pictures.
But Jason is the actual person this guy was talking about in there, because Jason does not read books at all. He only reads comic books.
Yeah, true. I don't read books. I like pictures.
I've
funny pictures.
I've probably read more comic books than actual books in my life as well. So I have nothing. I'm just as guilty as Jason is.
If it didn't say Edgar Allan Poe on the cover, I probably did not read it. So that's about as close to the books and libraries Jason ever got.
I've read some Stephen King, some R.L. Stein. Remember R.L. Stein was like what you read when you were younger in school and whatnot. I don't remember anything about those stories, but I remember reading a lot of R.L. Stein.
Here's a question. Do you think that the bookstore owner entered the world of Fantasia as well?
Oh.
Do you think that he had his own experience with Fantasia?
Maybe.
Well, that's what I think is interesting about this movie and this story is like, this story is about whoever's reading it. Like, it's not, that's kind of, we're really jumping ahead here, but we'll get into that later. But yes, you bring up a very good point, Eric, with that. And
do you think he lived infinite years having his own, making his own wishes, and finally his final wish was to share that experience with
Well,
another child.
the
So
book,
cool.
the bookstore owner's story is actually Inception. That's what it is. I mean,
Oh, no.
Insert eye roll.
Gotta bring up Christopher Nolan somewhere in this.
Apparently this movie only covers half of the book too, so maybe some of these questions we're asking are answered in the book. But
And did you also know that the author hated the movie?
oh yeah.
Hey, it's Stephen King with The Shining.
I mean, it's a lot of authors, honestly.
He did. He did not like the movie at all.
yeah, I
That's what
mean,
read.
that's interesting when you talk about these particular art forms like film and literature, is, how, the two mediums complement one another, but also really kind of bring one another down in the same sense, because as good as The Shining is, you're not getting everything from the movie The Shining that you would be getting from the Stephen King novel. It's like that with any book and any movie that's made about that book,
Yeah, I mean, it has to be adapted to the medium. So.
Yeah, I mean, we've just experienced it.
You
with,
lose things, you gain things.
Yeah, we've experienced it with Game of Thrones and how everybody's pissed off about the changes they made there, and the fact that the books aren't even done and they finished the TV show, and all that kind of shit. But
Dude, I feel about that with comic book movies, and I'm still upset about Venom. So, I mean, relating back to comic books, because Jason don't read books. I'm upset about many things. Spider-Man's not the way he was in the comic. Venom wasn't either. But hey, it is what it is. We get what we get. So the director does what is in his mind's eye.
Yeah.
So,
well,
just
I mean,
hope that one day we'll get what we want.
Go ahead.
I thought that this book was the coolest book in the world.
With the
Like,
emblem on
with
the
the
top.
Orin on the
Orin.
outside, and like just when he hands it over, I'm just like, or he like sees it and then takes it, I'm just like, oh, like that's the kind of book that I wanted to read,
I might have read more books if books looked like that in the library, because I was like, that's fucking cool.
Or the Necronomicon.
Yeah, or the Necronomicon.
I'd read more books if it would suck me into another world.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd read more books if I could ride a luck dragon.
Yeah.
Well, books do take you to another world.
Okay.
But I would have opened it and would have went, where's all the pictures? Fuck this.
Hey, so you guys mentioned, Jason just mentioned The Shining a few minutes ago. Did Bastian give you vibes of Danny from The Shining at all? Just visually? I don't know. When he's walking around like the hallways and stuff.
I can see why you would say
He definitely
that.
has the look, the haircut,
I didn't get
and
that.
everything.
You wouldn't.
I definitely see that.
Well, he's obviously been sneaking away to this attic before. I mean, he knows exactly where the key is. He knows, I mean, what's funny about this is he knows the key's there. He goes in the attic, but when he gets up there, he looks at it with this wonder, like he's never seen it before. But it's like, okay, so do you normally come here, or are you not familiar with this place? It was a little weird.
I think they're pausing for our wonder.
Yeah.
Oh, the attic. It's cool. I thought it was so cool when I was little.
Or did he just escape behind the door? Because he was always running from somebody. Did he just go behind the door and hide there? But this time he went all the way into the attic.
Who knows?
Because he saw that math test and he pieced out.
I'd be doing the same thing. Math's not my strong suit.
No equations today.
That was a trigonometry test. I would have left.
He's probably like 10, so.
Probably not in trig yet.
Shoot. I thought they taught that in elementary school nowadays.
No, they don't.
But yeah, we get up there. He pulls out the gym mat. Like, that's the thing. Like, you think he'd been up there. He walks right over and pulls that old gym mat out.
Yeah.
Old gym mat.
And he's getting ready to sit and chill. Hey, I'm going to freaking dive into this book. And then I like how he starts, and then it just flows right into, like if you're reading a book or a comic book, you just kind of go into the world.
I mean, here's what I'll get into my next thing about this movie is this is a very weirdly paced, well, maybe not paced, but it's a very weirdly structured story. Maybe we'll talk more about this when we get to the end of it, but it's like this thing just starts and you're thrown into this world.
Well, I have some notes about this, Josh, that I'll say now that I'm about to say.
Well, why don't you say them purred happily?
I'm
and
about to say
what you're
More
going to
like
say.
turd craply.
Now? Are you doing it now?
Yeah, so
Right
some
now?
of the structure that I think you're talking about, maybe the storytelling is very basic, and there's almost inside, particularly inside Fantasia, there's this shorthand, I guess you would call it. It almost reminds me of like a game of Dungeons and Dragons, or like a role-playing game, essentially. Just the simple fact that, you know, when they just say, one kid can save us, it's this guy. Okay, like no one questions it. You know, this is coming. Okay. I'm on a quest. Oh, that makes perfect sense. Well, you're on a quest. Of course, I'll help you since you're on a quest. I mean, you know, there's this weird shorthand where, you know, they don't really explain, their motivations aren't really a concern here at all.
Right.
Like, it's just literally like, we're doing this. Now I'm going here. Now I'm going there. I mean, even after they send him on his mission, I'm jumping ahead again, but he just starts writing. I mean, the whole thing feels like a video game to me.
It's like Zelda.
Well, Zelda is on my thing. I mean, you got Link and Princess Zelda right there. Yeah. But I mean, I think those are fantasy tropes. That's where Zelda gets it from. They're both getting it from the same kind of thing. But yeah, there's this weird shorthand in the storytelling that, and I think this is where my adult viewer disconnect comes from, because they tell me what's happening a lot of the time without really explaining why it's happening. They just say, this is happening. You're on a quest now. I'm on a quest. I have to go do this. We don't know why he wants to. We don't know why, you know, he wants to because he's the hero, and that's what the hero does. Like, you know, you basically have a shorthand fantasy world.
Not seeing it for quite some time, and not really being engulfed in the actual wraparound story of this, and only really kind of remembering that it was, I really thought this was more of an Atreyu story, but it really isn't.
It's not.
It
There's
really
not a whole
isn't.
lot to Atreyu, honestly.
Right, and that's kind of what got me this watch, is from not seeing it for so long and not remembering things about it and not watching it as many times as maybe you did as a kid. Like, I tend to remember there being a lot more Atreyu and Artax and more stuff with that. But like Eric just said, we just get thrown in to Fantasia here. And this scene with the rock, what's his name?
Rockbiter.
Rockbiter. And the puppets and the guy with the bat and all that stuff. Like,
and the guy from Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
He's teeny weeny.
Like, getting introduced to them seems very weird to start our story off with. Like,
I don't know.
And I didn't remember that. I didn't remember that scene was there, and that it was actually a fairly long scene.
Yeah, I like that scene a lot, and I think that it is kind of a good way to open it, because it's just showing you the different people who live in Fantasia.
Yeah.
That this is affecting all of them. They've all come together for one purpose, to go to the Ivory Tower and seek help from the Empress.
Right.
Why
They're
is the
all
world
representing
dying?
their various races or whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
or countries, or you know.
we immediately get to see how scale is a big thing in Fantasia. Like, you've got tiny people riding snails, you got a big giant mountain guy.
Yeah.
That eats rock. Everything's like this widely varies in scale, which is one of my favorite things about the movie. Is all that, and those characters are fun. A really fast snail, you know. Don't prejudge people. There's lots of little messages in this movie, like, you know, don't prejudge people based on their looks, and you know,
like the narcoleptic bat.
I love the sleepy bat, which is credited as, not credited, but it's known as like the stupid bat or something. I think that's what.
Oh.
But anyway,
when they're there meeting the Empress, because they have all come to talk to her, did you notice any famous characters standing around that people have noticed over the years?
I read this. I didn't notice them, but I did read it. Go ahead and tell us.
Yeah, supposedly there's Yoda is there, Gumby, Chewbacca, Mickey Mouse, a couple Ewoks, C-3PO, and E.T.
No way.
Wow.
Spielberg helped with this in some capacity. I can't remember the U.S. version or something. So it's a nod to Spielberg. A lot of that stuff.
Yeah, when they all show up, I had to go back and watch it. And I was like, okay, I still can't see them. I guess maybe I don't have it in 4K like somebody else would, and I couldn't see those type things.
This movie's not out on 4K.
And there you go, people. Josh would know.
I actually had to watch it on HBO Max because I could not locate my Blu-ray.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I watched it on Blu-ray, son.
Well, I mean, I won't say this definitely is not the puppets in this scene, but I really don't think the visual effects have held up too well in this. When you get to like green screen stuff and some of the actual visual effects of it, the age is really showing on them now.
Sure, but for me, the practical effects are just so good.
Yeah, I mean, they don't look real. I doubt they looked
But
real
they're not
in
supposed
'84 either.
to look real.
Yeah, exactly. Like the snail with the rubber. It's all rubber.
Yeah.
Puppetry and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I actually really like that stuff. Just from a design standpoint, like species or races or whatever of creatures, and there's a lot of different creatures in this. Just people in the background that just look. You see them for a second, and it's like that would have taken forever to put together.
Well, that was what I noticed about them going to meet with the Empress was like the people with the 4-sided heads.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
there were people with 2-sided heads.
Yeah, like
3-sided heads.
I think one of the kids pointed out that there was a walking fish.
Yeah,
as well. Like, yeah, and then that's where we get this announcement that the Empress is fallen ill. I do like the description of the nothing. What Rockbiter gives us there, and how they're talking about like, what did it appear as? Was it a hole? And he's like, oh no, a hole would be something. This was nothing. Like, I really do like that.
Yeah.
The nothing is conceptually scary.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's it's being forgotten. It's nothingness. It is scary. It's death. It's it's everything we fear basically.
Yeah.
Giving it no face, no image, no nothing makes it even scarier. It's fear itself. You know what I mean?
And we typically think the wolf is the nothing.
And that's what I thought when I was a
Last
kid.
week.
Yeah.
It was so funny that you mentioned that last week, not even knowing that we'd be talking about it this week.
Yeah.
Right.
What a coincidence.
This scene, like when they're just, getting to know each other before the whole like nothing talk starts.
Right.
They're a little like it's like a comic gag between like the rock biter. He's eating rocks because that's his food, and he's just showering them with like boulders. The snail gets bonked on the head, and he's up there like sniffing his fine Chardonnay that he's got so refreshing with his limestone. It's kind of funny.
Limestone with a bit of quartz.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I failed to remember that, that's how we're introduced to the story and what's happening and the nothing and all of that stuff. But I did find it a little weird starting it off that way, watching it this time. Again, because for some reason in my head, I remembered it being more of Atreyu's story, which we're getting to here with the Empress and his hero's journey. But like, I vividly remember like being attached to Atreyu and Artax, and for whatever reason, thought their journey lasted a whole lot longer than it does in this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, it goes.
I mean, we lose Artax within the first half hour of this movie.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, they just started.
Yeah, like I was shocked at how quickly it happens. Like I did not remember that it happened that quickly in the movie.
Me either.
But this is definitely the scene that really leaves an impression on you as a kid.
Yeah, it should be noted too, before this happens though, is he says they wandered for a week not knowing where to go. And it has a montage of him just riding all over the place. Like he literally just left and just started randomly riding around.
Yep.
Just looking for something. He doesn't even know what he's looking for.
Nothing. He was looking for the nothing.
I mean, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, because when they finally get to what is the name of that swamp? The Deadly Swamps of Sadness. He was talking and he said we had went through the deserts of this and blah blah blah, and you're like, dang, did we just edit that out? That hit the cutting room floor. We didn't get to see any of that.
Yeah, so. I mean that's definitely what watching it this time. I was like, God damn, we're here already. Like, it hit me, like a ton of bricks when I was a kid. When he's going through these mud pits, and then everyone he goes deeper and deeper. And I mean, if you were a kid watching this movie and this didn't leave an impression on you, you were going to be a serial killer or something. Like,
yeah, this is a serious burden to lay on a child.
Yeah, for sure.
Is they say if you fail, the Empress will die and our whole world will be utterly destroyed.
Yeah.
So off you go.
Don't worry about it.
Just go try to fix this. You have no idea what you're doing.
Yep.
And then his best friend dies.
Good.
Yeah.
This scene stole my innocence. I was not a child after this. Like, it was so impactful to me. Again, strange because it really is a very short time they're together. But I guess it's just your like instinct, man, animal, the connection that you can transfer your connection with whatever animal is in your life to their position. You don't really have to get to know their relationship. You know your relationship.
Right.
And so you just transfer it onto them.
Yeah, I mean, if you were in that position, you'd be a wreck. I mean, I would be a wreck. Any normal person would lose their minds at this.
And the metaphor of, they're in the swamp of sadness. The metaphor of depression pulling you down. The metaphor of sadness pulling you down and giving up. The horse Artax gives up. And he's trying to get him to not give up, but he does. I mean, there's some pretty heavy themes at work here.
Yeah.
I mean, and that this whole scene had such an effect on people our age and people later. I mean, you still see, even today, you see videos on TikTok and that people talk about, when my childhood ended, and they go to a scene of Atreyu holding on to the horse.
It's like memes.
Yeah, it's all
there.
over the place. I mean, I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I mean, there's some stuff that scars you as a child. For me, it was this and when Optimus Prime died. Dude, both of those were like, what the hell? Is this what the world is?
Even though we get a little bit of like bullying and stuff, everything up to this point is relatively easy to swallow. This scene comes kind of, I mean, it comes, you don't expect it, as a first time watch. You're expecting them to crawl through and be okay. And you don't see that coming.
No. And to add, to the impactfulness of it is, Atreyu really trying to help his friend along, and then it's to the point where he just gets angry, and he's, "Come on, you stupid horse!" Like has to that makes it even worse. Is when he goes and then
his desperation.
That's kind of
And then you got Bastion reading the book, and he's freaking falling.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. But again,
Bastion is all of us.
Yeah, pretty much.
That moment.
My question is, after he does that, he walks along. Why is he not sinking?
I guess his will to save their world is greater than
I mean, he's
sadness for his friend.
Trudging along. It's not like he's having an easy time. Just, he's not moonwalking across the...
He's crying and he's sad why his horse is sinking. Why was he not sinking also at the same time?
I think, because he doesn't give up. Like Jenny said, it's his will. That's why he was chosen for this, because he will not quit.
Because we wouldn't have a movie or a story.
I was about to say the movie would be over already.
Well, in just a few minutes, he is going to give up.
That's true. Yeah.
Really. After he goes and sees Morla, who is a giant turtle, and looks amazing.
Yeah,
like just
talk about effects holding up.
Unbelievable.
That scene looks good.
That's probably one of my best ones.
Even the wide shot when he's like right in front of it
on the tree. Like again, let me reiterate, the puppet work in this is amazing. Still, I may have some issues with Falcor. We'll get to soon, but this turtle.
What's the matter with you?
I know this is going to be a 50-50 conversation, because I think me and Josh are going to be on the same side.
But I mean, the turtle does look amazing. I love that it sneezes, and
the sneezing's great.
I love the what is it, the third sneeze where he holds it, and then it gets you a second later. Like that all works really well. But yes, the conversation, the puppet work, all of that there is amazing.
And we just had kind of we went through this swamp of sadness, dealt with depression, maybe even ideas of suicide, giving up on life, that kind of stuff. And now this turtle is representing apathy. Just she's given up. She doesn't care. She's not willing to even bother to try helping anything because she doesn't see any point in it. You know, we're dealing with some interesting, you know, life challenges in a kids movie, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's why it resonates with so many kids, along with the fantastical, you know, packaging. But it has some pretty deep messages going on.
Yeah.
Which is a weird. It's weird having that, but then also having these super basic plot lines of go on the quest, do this, because it's like there's metaphor going on, but then there's also like a weird shorthand that's not satisfying to me. But
oh no, I completely understand where you're coming from there, and I like that's the thing. Like it's almost like this movie is a buffer for kids to like prepare for life.
Yeah.
The story in a sense has to be very basic, and those underlying themes stick with you for you know, underlying reasons.
Well, I think this just comes to the point of this is a kids movie. To me, this is a kids movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Despite the big Sphinx breasts.
But it is a never-ending story in a sense of like we'll get into this at the end of it. Like this same story repeats over and over and over again. You know, it's almost kind of in a weird sense like the Dark Tower in a way. Like we're always gonna take this road. This is always where we're gonna end up. Like it's a very weird juxtaposition you have there.
The whole quest kind of reminds me of the Talisman as well, because the sick mother and going on a thing to save the mother kind of a thing.
Yeah, and a very like fantastical world involved as well.
And
two versions. Jason can't relate. We're talking about books now, and Jason can't be involved in the conversation.
Jason, wake up.
Oh wait, oh sorry, I was asleep thinking of my comic book collection, and I'm sorry, I didn't know what was going on.
Right here before we get to, you know, Atreyu giving up and the introduction of my favorite character, we get back to Bastian's world, where it's the end of the day, like the school bell has rung, and he has to make the decision. Does he stay in the world of the story, or does he go back to his reality?
Well, the story is more appealing to him.
It's so much more appealing than his horrible reality.
His actions are starting to mirror the actions in the book. So like he eats his lunch when Atreyu eats his lunch. When the wolf shows up, the stuffed wolf in the attic falls down on him. And Atreyu is trying to decide if he wants to keep going or not. And so is Bastian. He has to decide if he wants to keep going.
Yeah. I think it's funny is that when the turtle Morla tells him it's 10,000 miles away. I mean, us as kids, we used to do that to our parents. Hey, we're going to go visit grandma. It's 10,000 miles away. I don't want to go. I mean, everything was 10,000 miles away. It's just kind of funny how they put that in there. So, I mean, it's so like everyday child's life, especially in the 80s when we all did car trips to go see relatives, and we didn't fly. We drove everywhere.
Well, so before we get to the next big part of this movie, let's go ahead and talk some cast members.
Almost Famous.
I know that, dude.
I don't know them. I know her.
Haven't you ever heard of that guy? That guy who was in that movie that was out last year?
I'm sort of famous for being almost famous.
Surprisingly enough, I had a hard time finding some stuff for this.
I got two.
Not a ton of like big name people in this.
Yep.
So Jason, if you've got two, go ahead. Well, you do one. We'll see if everybody has all the same ones.
Well, I'm gonna go with the dad, Gerald McRaney. I remember that because he was a big thing in my childhood because we used to watch Major Dad. We watched the show Simon and Simon.
Absolutely.
But I remember him a lot because he always popped up. But main thing was Major Dad and Simon. We watched those regularly as a kid. And then also digging through the rest of this, I was like, there's like one or two things that everybody else did. But Gerald McRaney, he did all this stuff, but he was never famous.
Yeah, he was on mine as well. He won his Emmy for This Is Us in 2017, as a
There you go.
guest.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, he was mine too. He's pretty much the only face I recognized in this, other than Deep Roy, who is teeny weeny. I just remember him from being all the
Oompa Loompas.
All the Oompa Loompas.
Lots of TV. He did a lot of stunt acting in Star Wars and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
The original trilogy. So, does anybody else got another one? Because I got another one here too.
Well, the dad is the one person I recognized from the movie, and I kind of left him out looking for somebody else. The only other person when I saw them on screen, I recognized. I was like, "Hey, that's the woman from Willow," and it was Patricia Hayes. She's the wife of
Urkel.
Yeah, the people we're getting to here in just a minute. Yeah. She played Finn Razel, who Willow is going to find, who's the animal, and then he has to change her into her human form. Yeah. I recognized her there. But her husband in this, the Sidney Bromley, he was in American Werewolf in London, which we watched last week.
Okay, that's fun.
Well, does anybody got another one? I want to say the other one because this relates to our childhood, Josh, the other guy.
I got nothing.
Jenny's got nothing, so go for it.
Okay, Alan Oppenheimer. The main reason he did lots of voice acting, but he was also in Private Benjamin, the movie 9. You know, the little doll movies where they were. Toy Story 4 is the old man miner. He's in the new Space Jam movie, but the thing he is most famous for from our childhood, he was the voice of Skeletor. Yes, but
wait, who in the
he's
movie?
Falcor and Rockbiter.
He's Falcor's voice. He's the Gamort. He's Rockbiter, and he's the narrator.
Okay.
But I was like, that's why I had him and the dad, because I love me some freaking He-Man stuff from a kid.
Me too, man.
He's still actually doing stuff too, so
that's cool.
So, but I would say the dad probably.
Gerald McRaney.
Yeah, he's probably the most notable person in
even
the
though
movie.
He's a shit dad.
Dad, but most notable actor in the movie for sure. I would have thought the kid that played Bastion or the kid who plays Atreyu would have went on to do a lot more stuff.
Dude,
well,
nothing.
Dude,
like
I don't like the actor that plays Atreyu at all.
Yeah, well, we'll get to him.
Yeah. Bastion,
I think he was a troll.
Acts circles around that kid for real.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you bring that up. If we're recasting the NeverEnding Story, who are we recasting and why? And who are we recasting?
It's tough to get out, bud. I'm proud of you for getting through that.
So Jason had, the good one last week. We're going to start with everybody else here, but I kind of went the whole route of anybody from Stranger Things could be recast in this, and it would be fine.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I don't think anybody should be recast in this.
You're not even going to participate.
And I'll tell you why. No, because I can't name anybody who I would cast in this. Because what's great about this movie is they're nobodies.
Yep.
Pretty much. When you're a kid,
you couldn't relate.
You
them to anything.
You don't know who these people are.
Yeah.
So they're just the characters. So if you can grab me a handful of no names off the street, and this is their first movie.
Well, before Stranger Things and It, I would have thrown Finn Wolfhard out there for like Atreyu or something, even though he doesn't fit that Native American thing they're going for. But like,
so that's why.
Eric, did you come up with anything?
Yeah, I've got a couple. So Atreyu, my issue with let's see, what's his name, Noah Hathaway, is that I feel like he was chosen maybe more for his looks and physicality, maybe some of his physical attributes or abilities rather than his acting ability. So I thought a great swap for him would be a young Taylor Lautner, like Shark Boy.
I knew
age.
You were gonna say that.
Because Eric's a huge Taylor Lautner fan.
Yeah, he loves that one movie, the parkour movie.
Parkour.
Fun story. Eric and I actually watched that together.
We watched the one where he kidnapped one. What's it called?
We didn't watch the parkour one. That's right. It was the other one, Abducted,
which was brutal.
With Sigourney Weaver.
Worst movie I think I've ever seen.
Actually, I don't think any of us have seen the parkour movie. Maybe we should do that on.
I don't think that's.
I would watch the parkour movie.
Apparently, the actor Noah Hathaway was actually difficult to work with. They had a hard time getting anything out of him while he was acting. And the director said that Barrett Oliver, the kid that plays Bastian, was just so great and easy to work with, and he was like nailing his scenes. And Noah Hathaway, Atreyu, was not very good, and I agree, he's not. Also, Rockbiter, it could be The Rock. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you can steal mine from last week.
No, Rockbiter, Lavelle Crawford, Huel from Breaking Bad. Remember Huel?
Oh,
the big black
I
guy
do.
that lays on the money.
Oh,
With
yeah,
Bill Burr.
yeah. I'm just imagining that dude trying to eat rocks.
That's it. That's all I've got. Jason, what do you got, buddy?
Jason, all right, what have you prepared for us tonight,
Oh,
sir?
Well, I have two lists here. We're gonna do I'm gonna do my serious one first. I actually did some digging in this because I wanted to go with, like she said, child actors that are. I mean, nobody knew who they were back then, but I went with child actors who could probably be somewhat famous right now, but still haven't like totally blown up, but we kind of know them. I was gonna go with the Empress as Sophia Lillis, the one that played in It, the redhead, as the little girl, as the Empress. Bastian would be, what's his name? Noah Jupe from A Quiet Place, Ford versus Ferrari.
Okay.
Does anybody know these names so far? You said you. I
knew the girl.
I did some digging on this. I figured y'all would watch The Quiet Place, part 1 and 2.
Yeah, I have. It's just been
Atreyu, I was going to go with M.G. Anthony from Chef, and he was in Krampus.
Wow, you're going deep here.
I'm going.
Yeah, that's a little. I remember the kid in Chef being really good.
Yeah, I saw that movie recently, and I was like, oh yes, he would do a good. I think he would be good at Atreyu.
But honestly, the only thing I really remember from the movie Chef is that awesome grilled cheese sandwich.
Yes. Rockbiter would be John Goodman from Roseanne.
I can see that.
Carrion, which is the guy that walks out to tell everybody the Empress is dying.
If you say Samuel L. Jackson.
No, I said Jeffrey Wright, Westworld Cadillac Records.
All right, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I like that guy.
The Gamorreau, which we'll get to later. I did Bill Skarsgård. Just a crazy voice. But Falcor, I did this. This is for Josh. Donald Glover. Just to think of him having a great time, Mr. Music Man, whatever, and just singing while they're flying through the sky.
That is the last thing I expected out of your mouth.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, that's kind of weird. I don't know how I feel about that.
But that's what I was going with. I was trying to think of somebody. I was like, I like this guy. I know Josh loves his music and stuff like that, and I've listened to it. And then just some of his way he is in some of the movies, I was like, I'm gonna go with him. I kind of like that.
Like Lando version.
Yeah, maybe a little, but
like a smooth.
He's awesome.
But my main list, the one that we wanted for, is the last time I did If Hollywood casted this. I'm gonna do is if View Askew casted this.
Oh God.
Kevin Smith did this movie. But
oh my God.
I'm gonna go as the Empress as because she's cool, and I've heard Kevin Smith talk. But the girl from Stranger Things, was it Millie Bobby Brown or what her name, Miley, whatever?
I can
Millie
see that.
Bobby
Millie
Brown.
Bobby Brown. Okay.
Okay. Carrion would be Samuel Jackson, the guy that comes out. It's funny when you said that. I was like, dude. Rockbiter would be Seth Rogen, but instead of eating rocks, he'd be rolling blunts.
Nice.
So I think
He'd be smoking
that,
rocks.
Yeah, smoking rocks, or something like that. The turtle, because it's the ancient one, and we all know how Kevin Smith loves everything green. They would be going to go see Snoop Dogg, and that's not Fog in the Swamp. So hello.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Sorry, but and Bastian, I was thinking, because I know he's too old for the role, but I could see Kevin Smith just trying to make it age appropriate or making that. But I was looking at Justin Long as him trying to read this damn story and getting through it.
A young Justin Long.
A young Justin Long. But then, because Kevin Smith's in all of his movies along with Jason Mewes, I put Jason Mewes could be Atreyu and Kevin Smith could be Falcor. So
wow.
And is that all the ones I had? I think that's it. Oh, and Inglewood and Urkel, I just changed them out, and that would just be Cheech and Chong. So that's what I had this week. I was like, I wanted to do something. I know Josh, and first thing I thought of was like, if I was even thinking Kevin Smith could be Artex because he's Silent Bob, he never talks, and you can see Jason Mewes trying, get your fat ass out of the mud. Come on, fat ass.
That's better. I like that the most. Yes, definitely.
So I really went with that. I was like, because then you see Jason Mewes walk up if he was Atreyu and he's talking to Snoop, the ancient one, and he's blowing smoke in his face instead of sneezing in his face.
Yeah,
hey man, why don't you share that blunt?
Exactly.
You could see Jason Mewes saying something inappropriate to the princess as well, probably.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Yo, baby, you have your asshole licked by a fat man in an overcoat?
But that's what I had for this week. I said I did the serious side, and then Kevin Smith's a great director. But I was like, what if he directed NeverEnding Story? How would I cast?
Oh, he would disagree with you for sure.
So
he is not a great director. I love Kevin Smith,
but yeah, that was the main thing. But the two things that originally started my recast was Jason Mewes being Atreyu and Kevin Smith being Artex. And
I'm just now imagining Justin Long playing that Bobby Sinclair or whatever, the porno actor.
Dude, that's him from Zack and Mary Make a Porno.
Yeah.
Yes.
As Bastion.
No.
Oh my God.
Oh no, it's Granny Panties. Hey. But yeah,
all right.
That's what I have for recast this week, people.
Okay, so we've got Atreyu going through the swamp of sadness, and we've got these intercut scenes of I just want to call him the Nothing. What is the wolf's name?
Gamork.
The Gamork.
Gamork. We've got the shots of the Gamork going after Atreyu, and this is where we get the introduction to Jenny's favorite character.
Falcor.
Also my favorite character, Jenny. And I'm going to let you gush, and then I'll gush after you. So go ahead.
Everybody's favorite character of this movie when they were a kid. I mean, who are we kidding here?
No, we're special,
could you
Josh.
not?
Don't take away our specialness.
I personally like the narcoleptic bat.
You would. I'm surprised you don't just prefer the wolf, Gamork.
I do. I loved that as a kid. It was cool. But let Jenny talk about Falcor.
When I was a kid, I just wanted to like snuggle up in those fuzzy ears and like run my hands over that like crazy scaly like surface that's part of his body. Just and his little puppy dog eyes. Just this. I want like a stuffed Falcor.
Full size.
I've always wanted one.
Full size, yeah.
Yes.
Takes up your whole new
It could be
room.
like,
yeah,
like the body pillows they have, but just
it could be like a sectional,
size.
like a sectional couch, but
Yeah.
just Falcor.
Hey,
in your room,
Josh,
in your living room.
The wedding anniversary gifts right here, Christmas. She's trying to lay them out there.
I've already had to fashion a Nimbus 2000 out of wood. I'm not going to be able to come up with a Falcor.
Dang, that was like 5 years ago.
Hey, me and Josh did a great job on that damn thing.
You
That thing's
did.
freaking awesome.
I'm expecting you to top it.
Yeah,
this
she
year.
wants a fucking Falcor in the backyard.
I don't think I'm not confident in getting you a Falcor. Sorry.
Oh, you better work something out.
I do like the thought they put into the design here of him being a luck dragon, with like the head, paws of a dog, all that stuff, but with the scales of a reptile. I thought that was really cool, and the fact that they kept him all white and they didn't like try to do the traditional green dragon or whatever.
Well, he's sort of iridescent. Like his scales are sort of iridescent, and he's got kind of a wise. He almost has like a mustache, that kind of gives him this wise vibe.
It's funny you say that because that's what Raina said. She's like, it's like a dog with a mustache.
Well, let me ask you this: the kids you watched it with, they grew up with Great Danes. I mean, my Mastiffs always reminded me of Falcor. Izzy in particular, I would always say she looked like Falcor. I mean, and I would love to. I mean, taking a nap with a big giant breed dog is like the best thing ever. Like listening to them breathe, just like Falcor, just like sleeping with Falcor. I mean, he's a big dog, and he's got the optimism of a dog. He's got the positive vibes of a dog, and he's always there for you, and just like a dog is, man. That's why dogs are awesome.
He's just a little puppy.
Just a little puppy.
I just watched that episode.
Never-ending story / Parks and Rec
I
references.
just watched that episode.
I like that Falcor's kind of a smartass in a sense as well, because he's like, "Did you take me the whole 10,000 miles?" No.
9,891.
I don't think he's a smartass. I think he's just literal. He's you know, again,
he's like Drax.
Yeah. He's just very honest. Like, he's honest and true. He's everything that's good in the world.
Yeah. But this is where we're introduced to the couple. I did not write their names down because I'm a terrible host. Jason, I'm sure you did.
Urgel and Ingy Whoop.
You can't tell me that Princess Bride didn't steal from this.
Yeah.
It's almost as good as Princess Bride, though. Princess Bride tops this.
Princess Bride's way better than this, in my opinion.
This is good.
Well, Princess Bride also uses the framing device of reading a book, too.
Yes, it does.
I mean, there's a...
No, I mean, in a sense, there are so many different things about both those movies. But, yes, the framing of the book, reading, and this particular moment really just kind of reminds me of the Billy Crystal moment.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're so similar. It's crazy. The bickering with the mad scientist vibe and all that stuff, they're very similar. Yeah.
In my head, I get these two sets of people mixed up sometimes. I have. Because I was like, is this the one with Billy Crystal in it?
And the kids we were watching this with have seen Princess Bride and are very big fans of it. And that's pretty much what they were saying the whole time we were watching this scene as well.
It's another great example of them using scale. But Atreyu, you know, gets picked up by Falcor, and Falcor's huge and way bigger than Atreyu, right? But then Atreyu goes to see these people, and they're tiny. And so now, you know, you think, okay, Atreyu's kind of the smallest person type we're dealing with. No, you've got way tinier people. I mean, we never see him with the snail people, so I guess my brain doesn't click until.
Are they hobbits?
But that, basically.
And it's a great comparison.
Yeah, I mean, when he has to take the barrel up the pulley system up onto the rock, and Atreyu can just kind of like walk and climb up the rock because he's so much bigger. All that stuff really holds up. The scale stuff, when they're up on top of the rock, and you know, Atreyu's kind of in the foreground and the guys in the background, like all that, they do a pretty good job of that. I mean, talking about Lord of the Rings, like playing with scale and forced perspective and stuff like that. That all looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I love that this guy's getting an attitude about Atreyu looking through his telescope and almost like wanting to like shoo him away.
My telescope.
And how cool is that telescope? It's got like
it's
crystals
badass.
and like vials of liquid, and like how does it even work? I love that's the kind of design stuff that I love in movies like this, and you know, Labyrinth and things like that, Dark Crystal, like just really outlandish designs that don't even really make sense. They're just cool looking,
right?
You know.
Yeah. So through the telescope, they're watching as a knight or an unnamed rider is trying to pass through these gates. Did we catch the name of the gates?
So he's going to the Southern Oracle, and this is the first gate,
right,
of the Southern Oracle.
I think I was always confused as a kid. I thought this was the Southern Oracle because I know he gets to the next ones too, but I was like, is this all basically the Southern Oracle? But
I mean, we don't want to build two gates. We'll just light it differently for the second one.
One will be gold, one will be silver. I was a little taken aback by how prominent the nipples are on these.
Dude,
statues.
I have it in my notes.
They definitely are.
Apparently, the director wasn't too happy with it either.
I never noticed it as a kid because you're a kid. You don't pay attention to that stuff, even at 7. But I'm just like, wow.
So here's where, like, does anybody else have a problem with the fact that Atreyu gets through here? Because,
no,
like, he essentially does the same thing the knight does, and the knight gets blasted. And he hesitates, he doubts himself, but he's able to just dart through the gate and not get, like, I don't know. I had a little bit of an issue with this time.
Well, it's hard to have an issue when all these these judgments being made by the gate are internal, like based on your internal thoughts and feelings. So you can't really tell us how Atreyu feels inside. Also, I think it kind of gives us a chance to let Bastian kind of encourage him. Like, I feel like Bastian kind of helps him regain his composure there because everyone's yelling at him. That's my perspective.
And I mean, for someone to feel their own worth, that's a big requirement.
True.
Like, way too much of a burden for a child.
Again, more burdens being put on children.
Yeah.
And another pretty dark moment when that soldier gets fried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Opens up the helmet. It's like,
when he opens it up, and it's all zombified and shit.
Crisp. You know, I just realized we're talking about how Bastian was kind of maybe helping push Atreyu along. We missed it earlier, way back. Was when they were talking to the turtle and he screamed and they could hear it.
Yeah. You could hear Bastian in the story. Yeah.
You see the turtle and Atreyu look around, so you kind of wonder.
The lines are blurring. Yeah.
Are they becoming the one? They're not Neo from the Matrix, but they're starting to work together to get through this.
Right. And after he gets through this gate, his next task is he has to look in that mirror.
Well, it's a good enough time to do it. Let's go ahead and do quotes.
You're going to need a bigger quote.
All right. Or do we need the taglines? Because there was one tagline for this whole movie.
Yeah,
give it to us.
The tagline for this movie that I can find is a boy who needs a friend finds a world that needs a hero in a land beyond imagination.
I actually kind of like that if it's a bit long, but it's good.
It's a little wordy.
It's a little wordy.
It's longer than the script of the film.
Yeah. But the quote we were just talking about while we're doing quotes, kind people find they are cruel. Brave men discover they are merely cowards when they look into the mirror.
Yeah, and I just finishing my thought on that. Atreyu finds out that he's just a character in a book. Is that what we're supposed to learn from Atreyu from this moment when he sees Bastian looking back at him like, I'm just a storybook character?
I mean, that's kind of where it's going at this point.
Like, I'm not real. I don't know, like, because they don't really talk about it. He doesn't say anything about it. It kind of moves on after that scene. I don't know.
It does.
So quotes. We're in the quote segment. So
what was the Falcor quote that
Jenny should say
Eric
the Falcor quote?
Yeah, you do it, Jenny. I know you have
the
a
Falcor quote, Jenny. She doesn't have it.
Jenny doesn't have a Falcor quote. Oh,
Josh, do you know it?
3 or 4 for me. So,
is it the one about having a luck dragon or something?
Oh Christ! Okay, I'm gonna say it. Never give up, and good luck will find you.
Yeah, that one.
I mean, that's basically the message of the entire film. I can't believe
it.
Yeah. To the wench.
That's one of mine. Damn it.
Okay.
Sorry, you go ahead now. You guys go.
The Empress is quoting or talking to Atreyu, saying in the beginning, "It's always dark." I really like that. But I mean, those are the only 2 that I really wrote down.
I have one. When the guy at the bookstore, he said, the square things that don't go beep. And I'm like, again, that still counts for today. There's the one with Falcor. Oh, he says, I like children, but not for breakfast. Because I guess he was talking about he was getting hungry.
I like when the rock biter is basically accepting his own fate. And he says they look like good, strong hands, don't they?
Oh.
That's a pretty touching moment.
I had that one
when he can't hold on to his friends. I like when Atreyu sees I forget his name, the wolf. He says, "I will not die easily. I am a warrior." Even though we never see him actually do any warrioring. And then, we don't even care whether or not we care. From the turtle. That's
the one I was about to say. I thought that one was pretty funny. Or because the turtle says we.
Yeah.
I was like, is this Venom? But
there's your Venom reference.
My Venom,
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, but I was just like, you said we. Is there somebody else? It says we've been doing this for so long. We've started talking to ourselves.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was like, that was pretty good.
I think the turtle's probably my second favorite character in this movie.
Turtle's pretty good. My quote is coming up from the climax of the movie. Call my name, Bastion. Like, I don't know. My mom and I used to always say that to each other. I feel like we were obsessed with this movie.
My other favorite one is whoever you are, you have the honor of being my last victim.
Yeah,
I
that's
like
pretty
that
badass
one with
line.
the creepy voice. I was like, yeah, I like that one. Gotta have some kind of scary reference in this movie somewhere. But I think that's it. Yeah, I'm good with quotes. But yeah, they has to go to the edges of Fantasia. The Oracle tells him as they start to crumble because the nothing is building, and him and Falcor hop on and go to the edges and ask Falcor, do you know where this is? He's like, no. So they're just going to keep going.
That's right. They fly through the Mad Max Fury Road thunderstorm thing, and Atreyu falls off of Falcor. Why didn't this fall from all those heights kill Atreyu?
It's a movie.
Okay, that's probably the answer I need.
You want to talk about Inception, when he wakes up on this beach in the surf?
Yes.
Yeah.
Major Inception vibes.
But then he goes and he sees the rock biter, and the rock biter tells him, he has these strong hands.
Yeah.
And his revelation that he's lost his friends to the nothing, and you can palpably feel his depression, and acceptance. It's so sad.
I think it's probably, after kind of digesting this watch, and again, it's the first time I've watched this in a while. I watched it with my kids when they were little. But I think that might be my favorite scene now, even though I love Falcor and all that. But that scene hits.
Yeah.
It works, and it's from a big
John Goodman rock looking
guy.
Dude, I'm telling you, John Goodman could have played this part. I mean, it would have been good.
I mean, that's the other thing that I walked away from this movie is this movie is inherently sad.
Yeah.
As an adult watching it now, I'm finding it weird that we had such an attachment to this movie because it is so dark and it is so sad.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at old Disney films, they have a lot of sad moments as well, like loss and,
like Bambi's mom
and, people dying and,
Dumbo's mom.
That's a big part of really the best kids films is kind of teaching kids about loss and
Mufasa.
Yeah. Mufasa.
Yep.
Yeah. It's kind of sorry, losing my voice here. Which is
Jason's getting choked up.
I'm getting choked up. But when we were talking about that, how growing up and stuff like that, it actually reminded me of a song that me and Josh like on the Gunship album. When you grow up, your heart dies. It's about basically growing up and not forgetting who you are as a child and stuff like that, and holding on to those things. And that's kind of what's going on here is you're forced to, you got to deal with the real world and stuff like that. But you also, they said, was it the thing line later? You got to keep your feet on the ground. But why can't you still be a child at heart in some way and still get through and be an adult, but still have a child like soul to you and enjoy
Keep your
life.
feet on the ground and your head in the clouds.
That's right. And also the memory of people is important.
Yeah.
Because that's what the nothing is, right? Is forgetting people. And he's lost his mother, and the best way to honor her is to remember her. You know what I mean?
Well, I was just going to say this whole conversation between he and the wolf is very telling about where our characters are at this point in the movie. But I did find it a little weird that this thing has been chasing Atreyu across Fantasia, trying to prevent him from doing what he's supposed to do. And yet he has no problem sitting there having a conversation with him for 10 minutes.
He didn't recognize
Well, it seems like he doesn't know
He didn't know who he
is.
was because he said, I'm supposed to be chasing some warrior across the Fantasia to stop him. He basically tells him but he does not know that the person in front of him is the warrior Atreyu that he's looking for.
Guess he didn't get a
bit
good
weird.
look at him.
Yeah. Didn't get a good look at him in the swamp.
Ate him.
Well, I know what's cool about that room that he's in too. It's gotta be weird for Atreyu. He's walking around in an old like cave looking thing, and it's got pictures of his story that he has just done.
Again, he's facing the fact that he is a character in someone else's story.
He even sees the picture of the wolf on the wall, turns, and then there's the Gamork, aka Wolf, nothing in the wall.
But it goes back to the theory that this is a story that repeats.
Yeah.
And he's just this version of the story. Like, it's almost a program that goes around and around.
It's the Matrix.
Cog in the wheel.
It's the Matrix. It's Neo. He keep coming back and does the same thing until you change something.
It's a story as old as time.
But I even like how
it's never ending. Even
him and the Gamork or Wolf, where we're going to refer to him. He's throwing like straight up logic at him because Atreyu doesn't even know what Fantasia is. He's telling him that Fantasia is a world of human fantasy. Like even this wolf creature knows what it is. And then he's saying every creature is a piece of drama or dreams and hope of mankind. Therefore, it has no boundaries. Because he's telling him there are no boundaries. So you're going to nowhere.
Right.
So, because at this point, like I said, the Gamork doesn't know that that's Atreyu that's standing right in front of him. And he's just laying it out. And you're like, man, how does this thing know all of this?
Right.
I know he works for the nothing per se, and we know what the nothing is doing, but it's like he has all the knowledge. He knows what's going on.
Now, I'm failing to remember. Does Falkor swoop back in and get him at the last minute here? I forgot.
Well, the wolf jumps him and he stabs it.
That's right. That's right. I thought we had another moment like the mud pits again.
Yeah, when he finds out he's Atreyu, it's like a quick little thought. He jumps out, he kills the Gamork, and then they go on from there because the nothing is rolling in. He's getting blown away. He's holding on to a tree.
Yeah.
Those effects are awesome.
That's a pretty good one, yeah. Of all the rocks being ate away.
Yeah, like all the sideways wind with the rocks and him holding onto the tree and stuff. I think there's moments where you can kind of tell that it's probably like a woman stunt person doing some of this stuff.
Yeah, because the wig looks really weird.
But actually, apparently, when the wolf jumps on him, the actor got hurt by one of the claws, like hit his eye, like really like cut his face really close to his eye. And like knocked the wind out of him. They only got one take of that when they just threw this robot onto this child actor, and he just basically got flattened.
So how y'all want to do this? You guys just throw the big wolf on top of him. He'll live.
He's a pain in the ass anyway. Just throw the 200-pound robot. At least
they were a little more careful than John Landis was with the guy and the kids.
God. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Jeez, man, you're going dark.
Jesus.
The part I think about is a trailer we haven't mentioned yet, but I remember reading that's not even the actor talking through the whole movie. His lines were dubbed by another actor. That's not even the actor talking.
Wow. Because
he had, a little bit of an accent. Yeah. And they went back and hired another actor to dub all of his lines.
Atreyu sucks, bro.
So he was literally, like Eric said, a pretty face because he didn't do anything else. So.
Well, that's another reason I thought that this kid had been in more stuff later too, because it seems like he would have been like one of those kids that would have been in all those early 80 movies. But looking back at it now, he wasn't really in anything else.
Well, before Gamork gets killed, he says, "People with no hopes and dreams are easy to control."
Oh, right. Yeah.
Which is so heavy.
Yeah.
Like, this movie...
That's like a political thing, man.
hit me the hardest as an adult this watch.
Really?
Like, just all of the themes of it, and, like, goddamn.
Yeah, that line is heavy as hell, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the part after that, he says, and whoever has the control has the power.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's part of that. I'm like, whoa, that's pretty deep. That's pretty good for right now, 2021.
Yeah,
it's timeless.
So scary.
Right after this is another one of my favorite moments in the movie. Underwater Falkor.
Yeah.
Put that boy underwater. He's even more majestic. And he finds the Orin or whatever, but I love that little, they had to build an entire set just to show him pick up the the medallion for like 5 seconds of a scene or something.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
great.
there's a ton of scenes like that where I'm like, wow, they put a ton of time into this one scene that at the end of the day, I mean, I don't know how much they filmed, but you get 10 seconds or 15 seconds and that's it. And you built like an entire set just for this shot.
There were certain scenes with Falcor in it this time where I was really kind of like, oh, they just have a big puppet head moving it around here, and it lost a little bit of its luster for me watching it this time. But that's just watching it as an adult now, I think.
Hey, we'll talk about that later.
Friend. Oh no!
But,
no!
But Falcor rescues Atreyu as he's getting blown away, and then they fly into nothing.
Yeah, I mean,
Nothing.
all is lost at this point.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fragments and pieces of Fantasia are floating around in the nothingness of like space. There's nothing there
except for the ivory tower.
Oh yeah, it conveniently is like right there.
Yeah,
it's right there.
Yeah,
the Orin guides them there.
Right.
Yep.
And the Empress is magically like, "Oh, I'm okay."
Well, she looks good.
Right. She looks great for being on her deathbed.
Oh man, when I was a kid, I had such a crush on her. She was
She
so
is
pretty.
a gorgeous child.
Why did I think this was Thora Birch for some reason?
Did you ever
I
notice her
see
teeth
why you
look
say
weird?
that.
Yeah, they're fake.
They do, yeah.
They're fake.
Yeah, the actress lost her teeth just naturally, because she's a kid. It's weird that they call her the childlike Empress, don't you think?
Yeah.
Like, is she not a child? She's
I
just
feel like she's
childlike.
not a child.
She's older, but she just looks like a child. I don't know. It's weird.
It reminds me of the Maharaja from Temple of Doom. I always thought it was a girl.
Right.
When I watched that movie as a kid.
Right.
And then later on I was like, oh, that was a boy. Like I didn't even realize. And the fact that it was a child, like, but they talk about him in that movie with such like regard that I was like, I just did not comprehend to me when I watched that movie.
It's hard with his costume and stuff. It's like hard to tell what's going on gender wise there. Another weird thing with the ivory tower, particularly where the childlike Empress is all the vaginal imagery. Did you guys pick up on this?
Yes.
That too.
I mean, Atreyu basically walks through a giant vagina to go see her.
Mm-hmm.
A giant lit, like heavenly lit vagina.
Atreyu, all the secrets of the world lie in this cave.
So, Jesus Christ.
But you also have this weird stuff with renaming her and naming her after Bastion's mother. So you've got this like weird motherly stuff going on, and then you've got like, I guess you could look at it like creation and not so much mother, like everything's created from here. So this is like creation, birth, rebirth, because they basically everything's destroyed and they have to recreate everything. Yeah.
If you're talking about the theory that Bastion has died or is dying, this could be his reincarnation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is that what he screams when she says, "Say my name"?
I did some research on this.
No idea what he says to this day.
Yeah, okay. Without research, did anybody know what the hell this kid said?
No, but I didn't. But that's why I looked it up. Yeah. What does he say?
It says Moonchild.
Well,
but there's a rumor that he mouthed something, but that is what he says in the book.
Okay, so in the book he says Moonchild. I'll just tell you what
I'm talking about in this fucking movie.
Well, let me address it.
But that's what they're saying.
Can I finish? Can I finish?
Hey, can I finish?
Okay. Being a German production, this is what I read. Being a German production, the movie was always made with the German dub version close in mind. In the original language, Bastion names her Modenkind, which means Moonchild. Now, Modenkind has 3 syllables, whereas Moonchild only has 2. Instead of filming 2 versions of the scene, which is sometimes done, they told the actor to yell Moonchild in a way as to make it as a 3-syllable-y as he could, so they could use it for both takes. So he basically says like, Moonchild, like so that's why it doesn't make any sense. And
yeah, I knew there were 3 syllables.
Yeah,
but...
so that's the answer to that question. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. I can't say. I just read it on the internet.
Well, in this last scene before the name is called,
yeah,
he's talking to the childlike Empress, about where, he couldn't do it. He couldn't find the human child, but he's already there with them because he's with them in the story. And just like their whole conversation is really about the power of story and books and world building. And it's really like a beautiful sentiment.
It is. And this is really where, like, when I was not really having the best time watching this time, this is the scene where I kind of turned around, because when she starts explaining it to him and I start putting those pieces together about Bastion being the Bastion this is Bastion's story. It's not Atreyu's story. And how all of that unfolds is when I really just kind of, it hit me and I was like, okay, I really can respect where they went with this here. While I may have problems with some of it, like ultimately this is what turns this movie into something special for me.
Yeah, it is wonderful. It gets reduced to a grain of sand or whatever, a speck, and he has to rebuild everything with his imagination and his wishes. And
I just like the little interaction between the Empress and when Bastion realizes that they're talking to him, and she turns and looks directly at the camera, like she's talking to us, when she's looking at Bastion, and then you see Bastion looking at her, and it's just they're watching each other, but he's yelling at her that he can't do it because he has to keep his feet on the ground, from what his dad had told him earlier in the movie.
Yeah, you can get very meta with this, and like I'm I'm participating in the NeverEnding story. I'm part of it,
because you are. Like she says you are.
Yeah, right.
Like,
exactly.
He's reading about you, and
you're watching
him. Like it's all connected.
Yeah. Just wait till Bastion finds out he's just a character in our movie that we watch. He's not really important.
Just wait till Bastion finds out he's dead in a dumpster in the middle of the
You just got dumped at the freaking landfill, and he's being chewed on by like a couple, stray dogs chewing on his pinky toe or something. I don't know.
Oh my God.
What if one of the dogs that's kind of chewing on him is just kind of looks like Falcor, like it's kind of it's kind of white, and it's like
a white cocker spaniel.
That's what I was about to say.
It's not really scaly so much as it's mangy.
Yeah.
Well, then it wouldn't be true, because then he really would like to eat kids for breakfast.
That's true.
Love it. That's awesome.
Oh man.
After he calls his mom's names the Empress.
Right.
He is there with her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Atreyu's gone. Everything else is gone. And he's the one who has to rebuild Fantasia.
And a new name. A new name is a new beginning, right? Just like this rebirth stuff we've been talking about. A new name is a new beginning, the beginning of a new story. The never-ending story, you might say. But yeah, he's creating, he's writing, he's this is all about fantasy. It's all about stories. It's about imagination, exactly. So he's responsible for recreating all of this.
Yeah. And his first wish is to ride Falcor, and he must be making some wishes while he's doing that, because he brings back everybody.
Yeah, I mean,
Fantasia is rebuilt.
As he's riding, yes, all this stuff's rebuilding.
He's doing.
He does all that before he goes after the bullies. It's not like immediately he goes for the bullies.
Yeah,
in fact, he could be doing it for millennia. He could be doing endless things. And then
but the
finally
bullies are still there, so it's really been like a day.
Time to head back. I've been doing this for thousands of years. I've done everything I can think of. Time to go scare those bullies. And not just the bullies, but everyone on the street, by the way, because everyone can see this in the world.
But in Fantasia time, how many days go by in Earth time?
Exactly.
Time is a construct.
Yeah,
time's
a flat circle.
Hello.
So yeah, I mean, that's what I mean is he's this doesn't actually take any real world time. Plus he's dead the whole time anyway.
So has anybody seen the sequel?
Yes.
I have, but not in a long
I don't remember it.
I've never seen it. So
I don't remember much about the plot, because Jonathan Brandis was
I
in
was
it.
waiting for Jonathan Brandis to come up in this.
And I had a huge crush on Jonathan Brandis.
See, I would have recast someone with Jonathan Brandis in this.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was in the sequel. Well, that's the end of the NeverEnding Story. Let's talk about what was good, bad, or ugly.
The good, the bad, the ugly.
Why?
We always got to wait on Eric.
All right, this is the good, the bad, and the ugly, where we talk about what was good, what was bad, and the ugly is optional. So who wants to go first?
I want to go first.
Go first. Go Forrest. Go.
Go Forrest.
Go Forrest. Go Jenny.
The first good thing is the practical effects. All of the puppetry and the animatronics, like it just looks great. I love it so much. But more than that, the message of the movie, and even Jason, had this note written as well. When You Grow Up, Your Heart Dies.
Yeah.
Is a song by Gunship, who we like, and it's the same idea as this movie, that if you stop dreaming, stop pursuing what you love, give up on all of your aspirations, then that's when you lose your light.
To nothing.
That's when you fail. Yeah.
To nothing.
When you give up is when you fail.
Man, that's cool. We're all on the same wavelength. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
High five, Jenny.
And that really hit me super hard, this movie. Just out of all the times I've watched this as a child and as an adult, this time I was just blown away by all of the messaging in it. The bad is so unrealistic that this kid is missing and nobody is looking for him.
No.
It's just, you got to give me something. It's nighttime.
Nobody likes Bastion.
There's a storm going on.
Only his mother liked him.
His asshole father is probably well, it's better off.
He'll find his way home.
He's going to learn a nice lesson on this.
I'm going to drink me some more vodka orange juice eggs. We'll hang out over here and chill.
I'm going to drink another omelet. Citrus omelet.
All right.
Wait, was there an ugly?
All you had?
Yep,
Did you have an
that's
ugly?
it. I have no ugly.
Okay.
What?
Who wants to go next?
I'd probably let Eric go.
Oh, will you? Thank you. Good for me is art direction. Like Jenny said, the character design, stuff like that. Also, all the matte painting stuff, miniatures, scale stuff, the cloud tank effects. That's a term I just learned because I was curious about how they make all those cloud effects. You see those in a lot of movies like that, and apparently it's called the cloud tank. Anyone who knows about special effects would know about this. It's not a special thing, but for me, it's a new term, cloud tank, and I love all that stuff. Weird swirling colors, and really they build an interesting world with all these different methods of costuming and makeup and animatronics and scale and matte painting, blah 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 blah. So that's fun. Bad is the actor for Atreyu. He's bad actor. And ugly is just the as I've mentioned, the sort of storytelling that is just, I just needed a little connective tissue here and there to explain why people are doing things. They jump from one to the next, and I think they use that they kind of use it as an excuse to not explain things by the fact that you're in a story within a story. So they feel like they can skip certain elements, and I don't need a big explanation, info drop, but just a couple of things, a couple of lines here and there would have really smoothed all that out. It just feels a little funky.
We don't need Inception.
No. That's it for me.
All right. Jason, I get the feeling you and I may have some similar stuff here, so go ahead.
My good, this is a great childhood memory film. I love this movie. When I was a kid, it was great. Some of the special effects are pretty cool still, like some. I never had really a problem with the story. I mean, as we analyze it as an adult, we do, but back then it just went great. I mean, we loved it as a kid. I mean,
it's a kid's movie.
Jenny still loves it. I mean, it was great. I mean, it's part of your childhood. No matter how old you get, you still have a sentimental attachment to this movie. I mean, even a very emotional attachment with, the part with Atreyu and Artax. I mean, that's still to this day, that's sad. My bad, I think the practical effects in this movie don't hold up at all. The head of Falkor is it's bad. Like the blinking eye, you can actually see it. Boom, boom, boom. It's clunky.
You're clunky.
It's the parts where it's just the head of him flying with the whatever kid's on his head flying through the alleyway, and even the back shot is not that great. But as a kid, I didn't give a shit. I just didn't love the movie. But as an adult, I just don't feel like it holds up anymore.
That rear projection stuff or whatever that is, I don't know.
Some of that really was bad. I just had problems with some of the Falkor stuff. Yeah, of course, the character of Falkor, we all loved him. We would all love a backyard version of him that we could fall asleep in and just cuddle with every day. And there's some other aspects of this film like that just kind of like, I could see it was bad. Some of the puppeteering was not that great, but I like the characters of the movie. My ugly, I don't know. As I guess now, watching it here, I feel I like the movie, but there were other childhood movies I liked better than this one, like Labyrinth and Flight of the Navigator. I think I connected more with those, so I think I've watched those recently, and I still enjoy those. Watching it, I was just like, I lost a little bit, but I love the story, and like what Jenny just said, how it relates to like this song from Gunship. I like that part of it. Because I'm getting older, but I still have the kid side of me, man. I collect comic books and toys and everything like that. I'll never stop doing it. I don't care when I'm 70. Yeah, I don't pay my bills, but never lose your inner child or your childlike soul. Always be who you are and do what you want to do. But, at the end of the day, you are an adult and you got things to do, but never lose your child side. So that's it.
Yeah, I echo all the good stuff that you guys said. The ending of this movie is really what made it for me this time watching it. Just that us being a part of the story and that playing into Bastion being part of that story and all that stuff really kind of turned my frown upside down in watching it this time, because I was honestly not really enjoying it that much watching it this time. The adult in me was a little bit taken over, and some of the visual effects were really kind of showing their age to me. And like
You're
I said,
letting your heart die, bro.
I know. And that's why I'm happy that I got turned around with it in a sense. But like, and again, like I said, the puppet work and everything, I have no problems with. I do think Falkor is showing age for sure. The shots where it's just his head and like all of that, I can see the strings there now. And that's just kind of what takes me out of it. But also Atreyu, the actor that plays Atreyu is not very good, but he yells almost all of his dialogue. And I really like, that would be my ugly is I can't stand that Atreyu yells half of his dialogue in this movie. Like even when he's talking to the wolf and when he's talking to the turtle, like he's just yelling back and forth, and it kind of grated on me a bit. And
I don't know why I'm defending Atreyu here, but he's like so sick of these riddles. Like everywhere he goes, everyone's speaking riddles to him. He's like, just tell me what to do. Just tell me what to do.
No, you have a good point for sure. But yeah, those would be my thing. With that will come another thing that I will say.
Here's my hot take.
Hot take.
Hot take. Hot take.
Hot take.
I love how you just look at me.
Oh, you gotta
like
people,
this is gonna be a fight.
Yeah, people, if you could see this right now, he literally turns and looks directly at his wife.
I think this movie would benefit from a remake. Let me tell you what I think here. Okay, I'm not saying like I think we should go the route like we've gone with It and like Stranger Things and all of that. You can remake this movie and still set it in the same time, because there's a lot about this movie that wouldn't play if you set it in modern times, made a modern version of this movie. But if you remade this movie with the fact with the thought in mind that you're keeping it in that time period
in the 80s
and improved the effects and kept some of the good puppet work and all of that, like I think you could really regenerate this movie in a good way.
Yeah. Practical effects, not CGI.
Well, yeah, like you say, I mean, when you say remake this movie in this era, it makes me think of something like A Wrinkle in Time. is what you'd end up with.
Yeah.
Like you say, a CGI mess. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that the period matters either. I mean, he's reading a book in his school the whole time. You don't really get a whole lot of 80s stuff there. But I mean,
true, but in a sense, like if you're looking for a kid who's not at home, you've got cell phones that can solve that problem nowadays.
That's true.
You know, there's things about
like
technology.
lost children is a much bigger deal.
Right.
You know, people are keeping track a little better.
I mean, when we were kids, we could go play. The rule was be home before the street lights come on.
Yeah.
You know, that's all you had. But nowadays, a kid doesn't answer a text message or a phone call within 20 minutes. The parents are, you know, there's an all points bulletin put out. Hey, where's my kid? Because they're connected all the time. It's scary. But back then, you know, parents didn't worry about it. It's just when you didn't come home after the lights, then they got a little worried.
I think you remake this, you lose the charm.
I think if you had the right director and someone didn't chew the story apart, you could have a decent remake of this.
They're just going to Hollywood it, and
you could do
it's going to be shit.
How about this? You could do a full trilogy and tell the entire book.
There you go.
That could also be an option.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. Like if you had the right people behind it, and how we were very skeptical about it being remade because we had this attachment to it as kids. I think you could, if you had the right people attached to it, you could totally make that happen with this movie.
Sure.
Just my opinion.
Sure. Why not?
But that will do it for our discussion of the NeverEnding Story. I hope we all had a good time. I, in the end, had a good time revisiting this. I know Jenny enjoyed it.
I had a blast.
So definitely a movie I would suggest that you at least rent, if not have it in your collection. It's one of those that you just, even though I have problems with it, the story overall is worth making the effort to have this as a part of your movie collection.
Exactly.
It's kind of like, you know, It's a Wonderful Life, basically. If you need to feel cheered up and positive and hopeful, if you need a little, you know, oomph, just watch this movie. Yeah. You'll have it by the end.
There you go. Yeah. All right. Well, that does it for our conversation about NeverEnding Story. We still don't have a schedule, so we're going to refer again to
Wheel of
Movies.
We did not rehearse that. I didn't know
sorry.
that was
We
happening.
did not. Okay, so I just wanted to let everybody know that I do actually have a wheel that you can physically see now with a list of movies on it.
We can.
So you get a little glimpse of what we're looking at here. Namely, a couple that we got on there is the Transformers movie, Dirty Dancing, Stand By Me, all that kind of stuff. But there's a bunch on here. So we're going to spin the wheel and see what movie we're watching next week. Here we go.
Here we go, people. Yes! Yes!
Yes! And that movie is Paul Verhoeven's
RoboCop. I'll buy that for $1.
I love RoboCop.
I've been itching to watch my Arrow special
boy.
edition Blu-ray of this one.
Is it 4K?
Name dropper.
It's not 4K.
Oh, jeez.
But okay, next week, RoboCop. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the VHS Files Podcast. We will be back next week to talk another movie with you. Until then, be kind.
Rewind!
Have a good night, everybody.
Get the fuck out!
Over.
Over.
That didn't go as bad as I thought it was going to. You've been listening to the VHS Files Podcast.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes.
If you like what you heard, please subscribe and drop us a rating and a review wherever you get your podcast.
It was fun.
Send your questions, comments, and movie suggestions to vhsfilespodcast@gmail.com.
You sick fucks, you've seen one too many movies.
Don't you blame the movies!
Follow us on all social media outlets at VHS Files Podcast.
Movies don't create psychos.
Check out our YouTube channel for more content.
Movies make psychos more creative.
Thanks for listening.
Take a look. It's in a book. It's reading Rainbow.
Should we just start over?
No.
No, not doing it. We're good. We'll fix it in post. It's got to. Hey, like in Wheel of Fortune, it's got to make one.
Shut up,
Josh.
Holy shit, brah.
If I could slap you through this.
Spins on its own. I don't control the speed of it.
Just spin it faster, okay?
But when you laugh, you go, What's in the case from Wakanda? What are you thinking it is?
I had to put fake teeth in because, you know, they didn't want her to like
Bat Kitty.
Oh, that because, you know, they didn't want her to like, hi, I'm the Empress. Movie.
Movie moments.
In my head movies.
Hold on, I got to get back to it.
He offers the tagline. We say yes, and then he doesn't have it.
Yeah.
Jenny, if can I signal you to slap Josh whenever I feel appropriate? You don't have to explain yourself. Nobody gives a shit.
What? You're drinking tequila straight?
Yeah, bud.
Holy.
I'm all that is man. Only a real man can swallow.